Hi and welcome to a new video here on my channel. I'm Pilvi and today we actually have a bit of a different kind of video for you. We're going on a little road trip. I'm taking you along first to a village that was built from the 16, 17, 1800s. And yeah, so you'll see how farmers lived during those ages in Sweden. Then we're visiting not only a cholera cemetery from the 1800s and history of that place, we're also visiting an old Viking cemetery, and I'll tell you all about that too. So yeah, hope you'll enjoy it, and let's get straight on into it. So now we're here in a very old building that's been turned into a cafe, because we do need a lot of coffee and sugar. All of these little Swedish cookies, so that we can get through all those graves that we're gonna visit later. This house that is called Bengts was actually the youngest building here in Eskkult. And it's been turned into a cafe, as you can tell. Records say that an old homestead was replaced by this house in the 1800s. The original was from 1600s, and that's actually when the little village of Eskuld was founded. The adjoining farm is actually the oldest original structure that is still in place. Here we are in an old Swedish farm. Just walking around this old Swedish farm, and we've been through the stable, and now we're going into the homes, which are my favorite part. Before we move on to the cemeteries that are 14 kilometers from here. Yeah. And now some morbid history for you here from Eskult's village. This house was called Göttas, and a girl called Kirstin Eriksdotter was born here in 1722. As many young women then, she took up work as a maid, where by her own will or not, she at the age of 21 became with child by her employer. Rumors started spreading quickly that she had given birth and then suffocated the baby. This prompted an examination, where they found that her breasts were producing milk, pointing directly to her having given birth pretty recently. At her trial, she actually confessed pretty quickly that she had given birth alone prematurely to a very sickly and pale baby girl. She testified that the child had blood coming out of its mouth, and thus she placed her hand over its mouth until the girl stopped breathing. Afterwards, she had taken more than a few sips of alcohol, some courage, and walked down to the local river, where she threw the babe into the waters, heavily intoxicated by this point. It was quite a cut and dry case, of course, and she was executed at Älvsborgs fästning when she was 23. by having head removed and burned at the stake. After that fun little history lesson, let's get into Göttas and have a little look around. So now we're at the rich people house. So let's go and have a look. And they even have like a little office space in there. So yeah, I'm guessing this is more for the owners. Like those people, of course. And lastly, let's have a quick little tour of the last house here on Eskult, and it's called Jönsa's Farm. And yeah, let's have a little look before we go to the graveyards. So here's like a typical bed, how people used to sleep here in Sweden back then. I actually love it. I'd love a bed like this. It feels so cozy. And yeah, a long place to sit, cause why not? And another one of these beds, as you may notice, it's also like straight in the kitchen, because yeah, it wasn't separated back then at all. Just imagine sleeping in here, so cozy. And right next to a kitchen sleeping area, of course, they had their working space. Very, very neat. So stable. This must have been like mom's and dad's place, I guess, because the beds down there were like tiny, 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 the ones in the kitchen. So yeah, they might just have had their private little area with some nice views. Now we're going to the cemeteries. In the year of 1834, Sweden was hit by a large cholera epidemic. In Fjärås, 48 people died from cholera and were buried in this cemetery. There are only a few gravestones left though in the upper part of the cemetery. Cholera used to be a mystery. The illness was severe with violent diarrhea, vomiting, stomach pains and cramps, often leading to death. It was not a pretty death, and in some epidemics over 80% of those infected died. It was decided in a proclamation on July 9, 1831, that the sick should be buried separately in special cemeteries like this one. Ready-made coffins were to be prepared and lined with tar or pitch on the inside. The body was soaked in a solution of chlorine salt, vinegar, or covered with lime and charcoal dust. To protect themselves from infection, those who handled the transports drank spirits and double doses of wormwood drops. Burials were to take place early in the morning or late in the evening, with as few people present as possible. And not far from there, there's another burial field at Fjärås, and it's the largest in the place called Halland here in Sweden. That's from the Viking Age. The burial field, previously also known as Stena Burial Field, dates back to the late Iron Age, Viking Age, and is the largest in Halland from this time period. The burial field is located on the western slope of Bräcke and has around 160 ancient remains. When King Carl XV visited the site in 1865, he is said to have exclaimed, "Noble blood has flowed here, we must honor it." As a visitor today, you can freely wander in the burial field and admire all these amazing gravestones. And yeah, that's the end of this little video. Hope you found it informative. And go ahead, like, comment, subscribe and all that. And please leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear what you thought of it. I'll be doing some spooky things now that Spooktober is coming. So if you don't want to miss that, you really should hit that notification bell. It'll be fun. Until then, stay amazing, hydrated and everything. Just take care of yourself.